my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we're going to take a fully spoilery look at Chapter 64 of Kaiju number 8. Now, this chapter just exemplifies what I believe is Matsumoto's greatest strength. Everything does at least three things. This chapter is an ending, a beginning, and a middle part of a story. It ties into the past and into the future. Chapter was extremely satisfying in its own right, but it was so much more than that. It was, of course, the foregone conclusion to Reno's training arc. Now, there might have been some question about when Reno would get the numbers weapon 6 and how it would affect him, but this is a shonen battle manga. Reno is the primary kohai, and the numbers weapons is the tool that will let him serve his senpai the best. We all knew that he was getting that weapon, and Matsumoto does not disappoint in delivering the final fight in the kohai training arc. The art is beautiful, the beats are well paced, every character is perfectly in character, and there's just that feeling of satisfaction of a story well told. Now, for such a common, well-known shonen battle story arc, there is a huge other side of the coin that every mangaka has to be wary of. Familiarity breeds contempt, predictability invites boredom. There's 100 different ways of saying this. But the concept is that we've seen this before, so why do we want to see it again? Now, I don't really believe in those old bromides, but they are decent, like most bromides, they're decent guides to reality. It is the recognition of the lack of virtue that breeds contempt, not just familiarity. But that is neither here nor there. The point is that we've all read this story arc a dozen times before. Why didn't this one feel stale? Why didn't we roll our eyes with a patient smile and move on, forgetting the chapter, just reading it for fun in the same way we would eat our favorite snack? We like the experience, we don't think about it later. Why didn't this chapter feel stale? Why didn't we just roll our eyes and move on? The answer is that Matsumoto added something more. Most notably, Matsumoto added a giant lampshade on top of our suspicions of Reno, and then Matsumoto shoved Iharu under that lampshade of suspicion. But in addition to that, Matsumoto made this chapter give us a glimpse of the past that stitches the existing stories together. See, that's the rule, the great writing rule. Every scene must be doing at least three things. Now, we are going to be getting into spoilers, so I'll give you a chance to click away by telling you to go check out the links below my video to get a copy of my books, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, a short story collection of human absurdity. Monty Python meets Star Trek in these stories. Now, on to the spoilers. Short version. Reno killed the Hanju with one final shot, and Captain Ogata of the 4th Division approved Reno's use of the numbers weapon 6. And there was one question that I think we all had in the back of our minds. We knew that Mina, as well as the captain of the 3rd Division, being the captain of the 3rd Division, was keeping track of Kafka and Kokoru, so we wondered if she knew what was going on with Reno and Iharu. Well, not only did she know, she was responsible for putting Reno and Iharu under Captain Ogata's care, specifically because Ogata was the captain who was the most skeptical of the use of the numbers weapons, which all makes sense, and which also implies that even before Reno left Tachikawa Base, they detected that his cells might be compatible with Kaiju number 6. You want a skeptic on the ghost hunting team. You want a hostile witness on the stand. You want a perspective as opposite to yours as possible when making decisions that could get someone under your care killed. And so that's why Mina chose Captain Ogata. And why is Captain Ogata that person? And here's the delightful surprise of this chapter. Several of us had speculated that Ogata was a personal friend of Hikari Shinomiya, and he was. But there's so much more. So many of us have longed for the backstory of the Shinomiyas, the battle with Kaiju number 6, all of that. And here we get just a bite of that. There was a team of rookies, a muscle-bound giant, a couple of perky kids who look like runts next to the giant, the ever-cheerful and personal engaging Hikari, soon to be Shinomiya, and one quiet bookish bloke who would age into the drunken, and I wanted to say bitter, but he isn't bitter, is he? He's still in pain, he's still suffering, but Ogata isn't really bitter. Captain Ogata turned his pain into action, into deep thought, and now he's going to throw himself into the breach again, the duty of the survivor, as he called it. He's going to take Aiharu under his wing and channel that potential into actual talent. The duty of the survivor. Survivor. There's just so much information and promise in that word, and I think that it really encapsulates the main drive of this chapter. Like all of Matsumoto's chapters, 64 is doing three things: concluding Reno and Aiharu's training arc, most obvious, lampshading our suspicions that some intelligence was using Reno before we ever met him, and looking forward to what we can expect from the story going forward. And it's this last one that is the main drive of this chapter. So, way back after chapter 34, I gave my prediction on where the story was going. I predicted that we would have a training arc for each of the rookies. Now, I was right and wrong. We are getting the training arcs 2 at a time. We got Kafka and Kokoru, we got Reno and Aiharu. So logically, next we are going to see the training arcs for our ripped ex-military dude and the billionaire industrial Saikon. A nice, predictable set of arcs that every battle manga does, bringing all the Kohai up to speed. However, Matsumoto is keeping it fresh by weaving in the story of the past and our suspicions into the future. The attack by Kaiju number 6, which formed so many of our characters and implied the meddling of Kaiju number 9, that is increasingly more likely. The friendships between Hikari and Ogata that forged the basis of his relationship with Aiharu, these are all leading towards the vanishing point where they all come together. In this chapter, the example of that was when Matsumoto lampshaded our suspicions of Reno. For the uninitiated, there is a theory going around that Reno was altered by Kaiju number 9 in the same way that the ants were. Like Kaiju number 9 sprinkled his spores over Reno and altered his behavior that way. That Reno is being to some degree groomed by Kaiju number 9 to be the compatible user for weapons number 6, so that Kaiju number 9 can then reabsorb weapons number 6. Now, we have the captain of the 4th Division, Ogata, looking at this compatible user of weapons number 6, and a rookie who fights just like he did, i.e. just like Captain Ogata did, and we have the 4th Division captain saying that the timing is just too convenient. Now, in the story, he seems to be taking this as fate, specifically his fate. He's the last survivor. Perhaps he doesn't have long to live himself, but he looks at this as him seeing what he's got to do. Be the death flags waving ever so proudly, that is not the implication that we as the reader get. That statement was Matsumoto deliberately slapping a lampshade over our suspicions of Reno and shoving Aiharu under the lampshade with Reno. The exact same way Kaiju number 8's Kaiju degeneration powers were lampshaded leading up to the battle with Kaiju number 9 post the absorption of Iso Shinomiya, where Captain Narumi recognized during the battle that Kaiju number 8 was preventing Kaiju number 9 from regenerating. So, here we have a Kaiju with degeneration powers sent to look for Kafka, and a boy with compatibility for Kaiju number 6, and a boy with a fighting style just like Ogata's. Now, between these three parallels, there run two common threads: a Kaiju with the ability to alter life forms, and young warriors with tangential connections to Hikari Shinomiya. Now, some of you may remember my theory that Hikari Shinomiya, either in person or as some lingering remnant of her will, deliberately sent the little Kaiju to Kafka, forming Kaiju number 8. Now, perhaps that wasn't the only action she took? Well, that's a whole video in of itself. But I don't think it's an entirely impossible connection to think that Kaiju number 9 is not the only intelligence moving with these body-altering kaiju. So, what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Is there someone or something else behind the scenes preparing human warriors to accept kaiju weapons? Is it just Kaiju number 9 trying to make compatible users? Is it the Sleeping Queen trying to make the world safe for her princess? Leave a comment below the video to tell me what your theories are. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.